Good morning. Two hands today. I am c-betting out of position, and in both hands, I'm out of position. So hand number one, I get aces, I open raise, and the button calls me. So let's see what the button's going to be playing with. I have 21% or 21 hands on him. He's playing 20-10 with an 11% pre-flop raise. Unfortunately, not really going to have a whole lot of information to go off of. All I can do is say if he's playing 20% of hands, he's probably not overly wide. So we're going to get some of this going, some of a standard type of calling range. We will assume he probably would have 3-bet jacks and jacks plus ace queen. Maybe something like that. We don't know if he's playing these offsuit hands or not. We'll leave them in at the moment. I'm going to be ahead of his range at this point with aces, so I'm pretty good. Flop comes 6-5-5. This doesn't seem like it's going to hit him. Definitely doesn't hit me. So the question is, what should we do? I do think, even though this board doesn't really hit my range, I think we should probably value bet. I think there's a lot of players, especially at this 10 NL and 25 NL game, that are going to look at this board and they recognize that this board's going to miss pre-flop raisers a lot. So I think if we bet, we can get at least one call, and we can get at least loose calls. So we're looking at, let's say, ace high hands, probably call once. You've got your flush draw, open and straight draw, your gut shots calling. 2-card backdoor flush draws, probably call. And actually it could be almost all over cards. Definitely flush card, over card, flush draw, open and straight draws, gut shots. Gut shot and overcards. I mean, all of those, I think, probably calling. They're already built into the range. I mean, he could potentially call 100% of his range here. Now, the problem is we have the ace of hearts, so we block all of those heart, the nut heart draws that could be calling here. And I think that might argue for a check, because it limits what kind of hands are gonna call. But I do think this is a dry board. I think we would be betting this with ace king, ace queen, king queen. I think we would be betting a wide range anyways. That I do think we could probably bet here with aces and go for value. Hope he has something that he could call us with. I think we'll kind of do the 2-card backdoor flush draws. I mean, it adds a little bit. But maybe he's going to call 100%. So we'll just go with there, and we're ahead. So I bet, and I only bet one big blind, and I could almost guarantee that this was a misclick, that I probably typed in thinking that I was betting half pot, and I didn't, or I was running out of time, and I just hit the bet without actually double checking that I actually clicked the raise. So this is a very, very weak bet. This looks like it is a bet where it's like I'm just betting because I don't think you hit it, and most people fold to one big blind. So I don't think this is gonna tell us anything. This is definitely a mistake. Jack of spades. So I think that's good now, because it gives this villain more hands to call. So I think now, if I bet larger, it's gonna look like I have a jack. So I think top pair is probably gonna call. I don't think pocket pair below top pair or any of the weaker pairs are gonna call. I think flush draws will call, open and straight draws will call. Probably not gut shots. So top pair plus, I think if we bet, he's gonna call, almost 40%, 39% of the time, and we're 62% equity. Should we bet? I think so, because I think we're targeting these draws here. We're targeting these draws. We're targeting the jacks that we currently beat. So I bet 7. and he min raises, and I think that's concerning because I don't think these draws are going to min raise at all. I don't think top pair could min raise, so we can set this at say 50%. Say 50% of the time he'll min raise. Would he min raise two pair? I don't know. Would he min raise a full house? Yeah, and quads possibly. What about three of a kind? So if he has the five, maybe, I think they'd bet a little bit larger, but on this board, it seems like I have a jack, so if he min raises, he thinks I'm gonna call with the jack. So I'm gonna include all of these big hands here in his raise, and that's 14% right there. And in that raise, my equity is only 28%. I need 19%. I am getting the odds to draw, and you know that I block the heart and the spade draw nut flushes here. So I think I could just call. So my plan is I think I could just call, and then if a heart or a spade comes out, I can lead out. And if raised, I can safely fold. I think if I check, he's gonna probably check behind, but I don't want to check and then have him bet again and be faced with a call. I think calling and then leading out is going to suggest that I have that flush, and it may get the fives to fold, which is what we were trying to get to fold. Let's see what happens. So I raise. I don't like this raise. I should have just called, and now now he raises us even more. I think at this point we're beat. So now I don't think it's top pair. Let's take that out. I think it's three of a kind at least, and actually it's probably a full house or quads. Maybe not even quads, but three of a kind's possibility, full house, and it doesn't really even matter because we're behind both of them. So I know I didn't. I just called here, and I've got three big blinds left, and it's a three spade. So that could have been great. I could have just called that of 7 more, and then the pot would have been. Let's see here. All right, so the pot right now is 30.5. The pot would have been 38, 37.5, and then the three of spades comes out, and I could have bet 20 big blinds out here. Basically turn my aces into a bluff because I don't, if he raises, I know I'm beat. I think. And there's that possibility at that time that he was betting with the jacks. So I think if he had jacks, if he had maybe an overpair too, or a pocket pair, I think he would have probably just checked behind. But if I bet 20, he might call with that to pay off. So there is some value with betting here when that spade comes. And we know that he won't ever just raise us with hands that we beat. So I just shove all in because I know it's going in, and I shouldn't have. And he shows ace five, so that three of a kind, that's in his range. We knew it. We're beat. Should have just called instead of raising the turn. Big mistake in this hand. All right, let me pause and get hand number 2. All right, ace queen offsuit, early position. We had one limper. I raise, and I get these 3 calls. So this guy limp and called. All the other guys just call. We don't have a huge number of hands. I do have 14-3 for this guy. Could be that he's not getting a whole lot of hands. This guy's probably looking at a stronger pocket pair range. And that could be way too tight or way too loose. Maybe that. Maybe something like that. Something, where he just limps and he's under the gun, so he might not even have 2s to 4s. Just some limping range like that. And my ace queen's going to be pretty good. So I like the raise here versus that limper. What about all of these other colors? It's going to be tough to kind of put all of them on ranges. I think if he limps, he's probably going to call with that same range. What about the other players? The button's probably going to be the loosest one of them all, because he calls three big blinds, and he doesn't quite close the action, but I think it's pretty safe to say that this guy's not going to be raising. So this is a 25 NL game. Villain 12 calls. He's playing 34-8, so he's looking to be much more passive than expected. So I think we're gonna tighten up his range a little bit. I think queens plus ace king would have 3-bet. Calling range is still 17.5%. That may be generous. He calls pre-flop, or calls 2-bets 36% of the time. This guy calls 2-bets 58% of the time. So just as kind of like a default, I think maybe this is looking like his range. He may be tossing in ace 9, ace 8, but again, offsuit aces, you don't normally see those except out of the blinds, small blind, big blinds that might call because it's discounted. That is a tight range, but I think that's probably a little bit better, and that may be for both. Maybe for both. So let me bring in Equilab here so I can save my ranges here. So this is range number 1. This is the under the gun. And then I am under the gun +1. I've got ace of diamonds, queen of clubs. We're going to say this guy is MP1. Probably MP2. And then we have our big blind. We're going to add many more suited cards. I think we're going to go at least like that. Maybe even those. I think we will give him the offsuit aces. We'll give him the offsuit broadways. We'll give him some of these offsuit connectors. Maybe the offsuit one gappers. Players like to play those. King 9, Queen 9. That's pretty wide. His 3-bet range is 8%. Big blind's probably not going to raise with anything other than queens plus ace king. Probably at least. So this is big blind range. All right, and we will see what happens. So I think ace queen is going to be at the top of everyone's range. No one really raised. So let's see what happens. Flop comes out 9-6-2. I think this is definitely going to miss a lot of people, including myself, but it's going to hit the caller's range harder than mine. So unless I have an overpair, this board really isn't going to hit, and this is hit me, and this is going to be, we're multi-way. I don't really have a backdoor flush draw. I don't really have a good backdoor straight draw. So this is really a hand where, while you'd like to c-bet, you'd say this is kind of a flop that's going to miss a lot of people. Against 4 people or against 3 other people, this is likely to hit them. And if I bet, I'm going to get called, and then I won't have really any good turn equity cards to bet here. So right now, this guy out of 50 hands, he's folded to c-bets 2/3 of the time when he's in position, 100% when he's out of position. So at least probably 70% fold to c-bet. We could c-bet this guy relentlessly, probably. This guy's fold to c-bet stats, we don't have a whole lot of information. It's 1 out of 1 when he's out of position. This guy also, he folds 2 out of 3 times when he's out of position. He's folded 0 when he's in position. He's folded 0 when he's in position. We don't have a huge number of hands on any of these players to really judge if we could c-bet relentlessly. So if we were heads up versus this guy, yeah, I think fine, we can c-bet, and we expect to pick up the pot a large percentage of the time. But against three opponents, I do think we should probably just check and be done with the hand. We made a play, we got called, we're multi-way. Flop comes out and it doesn't really give us anything. Doesn't really give us any sort of equities or draws. I didn't do that. I c-bet. So c-bet. about half pot or so. And I get called by the guy that I expected to fold. So let us move this, and this is MP1. Let's get the range back in here. All right, so that's the range that I gave him. We have 9 of clubs, 6 of hearts, and 2 of spades. Let's clear all of those out. All right, so we are currently at 49% equity. Oops. No, versus this range, we're at 55% equity. But, you know, overall, we weren't, while we were ahead, we don't really, it's hard for us to plan post flop. So he calls. What is he going to call with? This guy folds a lot. It seems like he folds a lot. So I think he's probably going to be calling at least all pairs. Maybe not. I mean, on this dry board, I think maybe even the weak pairs are going to call once. Open-ended straight draw, gut shots. I don't think 2-card backdoor flush draws are calling at all. So I think we're dealing with 40% that he's calling. And when he calls, we're at 21%. We took a stab. We should be done. The queen hits. Oops. Are we done? Probably not. I mean, we just hit top pair. We've got top kicker. I think that's actually pretty good for us right now. So we already bet once. We bet about half pot. Should we bet again? I do think so. I think we should continue firing a double barrel, because at least that card helps our range. I mean, it's if we check, I think it might give our hand away a little bit. Depends on playing styles. So let's fix that 50%. So let's say if we bet, what are we targeting? If I bet, I think sets are calling. Pocket pair below top pair, jacks and tens are probably going to call. Middle pair are all those nines, they'll probably call. Are the weak pairs going to call? Maybe not. I think they might fold. If any weak pairs call, it's going to be like sevens and eights that call, maybe 7-6. If they call, but I don't even think they call. And then also the flush draws and open-ended straight draws. So we're looking at getting called 46.6% of the time. We're at 54%. So yeah, I think betting could work. I think checking keeps a lot of these other hands in, and then on a river, so if it goes check check and then the river is a blank, you know, say something like a 3. Or maybe even a 7 or another 6. I think we can bet, and we could probably get more of these weak pairs to call, which he has a lot of. Whereas right now, I kind of think he's going to fold. So what do? I checked, and he bet 16. He bet half pot, which, you know, I don't. Out of 50 hands, we can't really tell if he's going to probe or if he's going to float bet this. I do have 100%. So he could be doing this with, you know, middle pair, you know, weak pair maybe. Flush draw, open end, straight draw is probably just going to check. Do you think sets are going to be doing this? Pocket pair, below top pairs. I think he does it with those types of hands. I'm at 80%. I think I'm justified in calling here. The 10 of diamonds, I don't think really helps anyone. And since I had just checked the turn, called the turn, I don't think I should bet the river. I think I should just play for a check. I'm kind of setting it up like maybe I had the heart draw with my call. So I think I check here, and he bet 16. Now that's interesting. He went from half pot down to a quarter of a pot. Is this weak? Is this strong? When we look at his breakdown of hands that he can have, hands that we lose to are the sets and 2 pairs. Would he bet with a weak pair? I don't think so. Maybe he could bet with a busted flush, but I think if he bets, he might bet larger. So I almost think this might be a 2 pair type hand. Maybe he called with 9-10. He took a stab with the 9 and then caught 2 pair. Now he's betting small to get called. Low risk. He's passive. He's a passive opponent. So he bet half pot. Yeah, I think it's going to be setter two pair. Setter two pair. Pocket pair below top pair is going to check. See the river. So we have zero equity here. Even though it's tiny, we should probably just fold. I called, and he shows aces. So over pair. And that's interesting because I don't even have aces in there. I don't have, kings in there. So we definitely don't have that in this guy's range. It seems odd for how he plays it. So I kind of think we're going to just have to make a note. So called, we'll just say pre-flop. Called pre-flop raise from, called pre-flop raise in MP versus EP. Actually, called EP's pre-flop raise from MP with a ace instead of 3-bet. Bet half pot turn, fourth pot river with overpair. So we get a little bit more information there. Get a little bit more information. So if we see this player again and he makes another kind of half pot and then quarter pot bet, we have a better idea of what he's playing. So missed this hand. Didn't really start. I just assume they're gonna raise. So make a note and move on. All right. So thanks for watching these two hands. Look tomorrow for a couple more.